Today I'd like to break down a song that I made for a Yes Graphics cut. This got aired on Yankees opening day.
Any team that starts an inning without a challenge will get a challenge. Earlier, Aaron Boone was asked what his team has learned so far about using ABS.
And I will play a little bit of it for you right now just so we know what it sounds like. And then I'm going to go through each of my tracks here and just break it down. Cool, so yeah, that's a little bit of this cut. So this is a 2-minute long track. Nothing crazy with the arrangement going on here. You can see I have, two main drop sections. Pretty instant intro. This is only 2 bars, or 2 clicks even, I would say. Right, because we're in a slower BPM. It's 91 BPM. So 2 clicks intro is usually what they prefer for graphics cuts at Yes, because they want to get right into it, right into the action, right into the music. So originally the old project file had a little bit longer of a build-up, but I cut this pretty short. And yeah, so to break it down track by track, this is really what I started with here, was this line from Serum. Let's find this patch really quick. So that's kind of what this patch sounds like, and these are the chords that I've used. Let's just play this. Right, so kind of cool chord progression, a little bit of a bounce, and that's kind of basic just for the chords, but it does fit pretty well with all the other elements, and this does loop pretty much the whole way except for a switch up in the second build up here. So this is just a slight rhythmic thing I did. To add some more swing to it. Right, so those are the chords. It's pretty cool. The next track down we have these intro chords right here with a frequency, just a very slight automation on the filter there, so it kind of has that fade in effect. I'll just play the whole intro really quick. These are 2 samples down here. I can get to this whole section later, but it's basically just guitar from Splice. I'm learning how to play guitar still, so I was looking for fitting guitar samples, as I'm not quite good enough yet to do exactly what I wanted. But this is the intro, one of the intro guitars. And then this. So together, right, a little bit of chugging, a little bit of chords there. And these chords on their own sound like this. Right, just 2 basic pickups. And this is a pickup into the first main section. So that's what that sounds like. Now here's where I had a bit of fun with the automation. So I do have 2 different bass sounds. Now I automated the volume on this bass right here. Let's just solo this really quick with the automation. This is a fuzzy, like white noise Serum bass. Right, so very white noise, very fuzzy. And I automated a ton of different volume patterns for it until I found one that I liked, and I ended up with this. Alright, so that has some cool bounce to it. Kind of hits pretty hard paired with these chords. Let me just play these together. So that's a cool little effect. And then the secondary bass line is this patch right here. It's a Serum bass again. Right? It's called Sick Wave. It just has that retro feel to it, and this is just sprinkled in there for extra bass pickups, basically. So I'll let this play real quick. Right, so it just kind of gives emphasis to the bass line, makes it a little more interesting too, a little more motion there. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the bass. This top line, very simple. You know, it's just this. And the bottom line, the only real complicated thing about it, the notes are very straightforward, right? You have C sharp, F sharp, G sharp. Let me take let me take the volume filter off just so we can hear the notes. And these are the notes. So very simple bass line in theory, but the automation is kind of what spices it up a bit, makes it a little more complicated, right? All right, so time to move on to the drum track. Now, I normally don't do this, but I have my drums cut out on the playlist. Instead of, I actually have a combination of both. I usually like drawing them in and just going in here to the piano roll and editing them. Like for hats and stuff, I feel like it's much easier to drag one out, you know, Alt U and just time chop this, right? Other than manually chopping it. But it is a pretty simple hat line. And the kick, snare, and perk over here are also pretty simple. So I just really wanted to fine tune these three elements, and then everything else like the shaker, the C snare, and the hat are programmed. But yeah, as you can see, I do have some different patterns down here with the clap. So this is the snare sound I have, right? So I have two variations of this. I have one with that reverse sweep, that reverse reverb into the snare, and then just one snare every other snare to switch it up a little bit. This is the kick sound. So it's an A1 kick from Chambers. This is one of the harder hitting kicks that I like to use, probably one of my favorites, right? And then I have a clap layered with the snare, right? Just a basic clap, and these sound pretty good together. Gives it a little more punchiness, a little more emphasis. So here's the basic beat that I had. And we can start to add some other elements like a hat, open hat. Open hat's in there. I have a counter snare here. It's more like a rim, right? Gives it more of that bouncy rhythm that we're going for. Shakers in here as well. This kind of pairs up with the chords a little bit too, but it just adds another element of that kind of white noise feel, a little bit of grittiness, and I think it just complements the whole beat well. So let me solo just these guys again for you and play the whole drum beat. So really nothing too complicated going on over here. The claps do switch up maybe on the third bar. Yeah. So the third repetition, the claps switch up a bit down here. That's about it. Alright, so there's just an extra clap coming in a little early on the offbeat there. Kind of cool. Now let's play this whole thing. I want to play the whole thing actually without the guitar first to show you what I had to start, because the guitar was more of an afterthought. And into this second section here, right where this third repetition of the loop starts, I do have a long riser. This is just a very basic riser that I use. More white noise-ish. Right, a little bit of delay on the end there. So if I look for the riser, there's just a little bit of delay. I turn the level and wet down a decent amount. So yeah, nothing too crazy really. But let's play this whole thing without the guitar, and then I'll add that in at the end. Right, so that sounds kind of cool on its own, but the guitar really brings it to life. This is a sample. I chopped a bit of it up at the start, but I kind of let most of the sample ride for this intro just so it would be more cohesive. Towards the midsection here, the build-up, I also have it chopped up, and the second drop I have it chopped up more. But the part that got played had most of the loop playing, which is fine because it's from Splice, so it can be used for television. But let's hear what it sounds like with the guitar now. So that's pretty cool, right? Now, I don't have this released anywhere, and I'm not sure if I'm planning on releasing it because I kind of made it specifically for Yes Network, right? But if I were to release it, I would probably scrap this splice sample, right, and just keep the original composition. I might have a synth line of the initial preset from Serum here with like a little bit of reverb and maybe a filter on it as well. Filter at like 60%. So I have this kind of melody line that I would probably use if I were to release this, and this is kind of more that swag style and kind of makes it sound pretty cool. Right, so I'd probably add that in there if I were to make this my own, but for now, that's how I created a graphics cut for Yankees opening day.